What's going on, YouTubers and all of you guys watching here online? This is the World of Esports, and it's been a show that's been going on here by ESL for the last 2-3 years now. We've moved studios here to Katowice, Poland, and we switched some things up, and we're already about almost 3 months into the new season. Now, this is gonna be the first time it's gonna be online, so we wanna give you guys an idea and a quick recap of what's been going on this year so far. And by recap, I mean me looking like a giant idiot in all of our previous episodes. But that's it for this week's episode here of World of Esports. Me. Massachusetts. Think I can get away with that? I could, but I might shit myself right now and I'll lose my job. It's okay. Are they heavy in real life? Oh God, I don't want to touch it, it's weird. Are you recording this?
Stone 15.
That was the shittiest. Why are we still recording? It's done. Today on this week's episode of World of Esports, we're going to be covering quite a few different topics, starting off with some card games dating back to the original 52 card decks, to what now card games are with Hearthstone, Gwent, Artifact, you name it, we'll be covering it. As well as taking a look at the Pro League with Season 9 right around the corner, just about to start with a new format. We'll be taking a look backwards at Season 8 and how things went down. And I'll be honest with you, I think you probably already know Charles did win that one. And then we'll be also switching up the gears a little bit, going into Warcraft, going into the franchise, looking how it's an RTS and how it's transitioned now into an MMORPG and how its esports scene has evolved. So all of that, some social media, and of course some news on today's episode of World of Esports. So everyone at some point in their life has played card games. Now for me personally, it was all about Gin, Free Cell, you got Solitaire in there, and of course my personal favorite, Go Fish. But ever since those games were invented, card games have gotten more complex. If you look at Magic the Gathering, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, and of course we transitioned to Hearthstone, Gwent, Artifact, you name it. There's so many card games out there. And I want to give you guys an idea of how we went from point A of 52 card decks to now what they are today in esports.
Oh yeah! Do you like playing cards? Even if you don't, would you believe that almost 250 million players play games involving them? For many of us, card games have been an important part of spending our free time. From the classic 52 card decks to the more advanced and absorbing titles, these little colorful rectangles for years have provided us with tons of fun, and sometimes even ruined a few friendships along the way. No wonder that in time such entertainment appeared in virtual reality and as time went on, became its own branch of esports. Card games come in all shapes and sizes, but when talking about virtual cards, we definitely should say a few words about the OG and one of the pioneers, Magic the Gathering. Originally published in 1993, Magic the Gathering has since amassed a massive amount of fans and continues to grow to this day, with professional tournaments being organized around the globe. That's why in time, Magic the Gathering was also released as a PC title, utilizing the concept of a virtual economy in order to preserve the collectible aspect of the card game. Players gave it mostly positive feedback and through the years kept supporting its development. And when it comes to tournaments, Magic the Gathering Online also has its own official championship. Held yearly, it started in 2009 and back then featured only 8 players, only to expand to 24 players in the 2017 edition. Not only that, the total prize pool reached $200,000, with Dmitry Butikov, the 2017 champion, taking home $40,000.
Dmitry Butikov is your Magic Online champion.
Magic the Gathering Online paved the way for many other similar titles, but few of them came close to the popularity of Hearthstone, a game developed by Blizzard Entertainment. Released in March 2014, this title, set in the Warcraft universe, has since taken both the genre and esports market by storm. And you can't be surprised given that Hearthstone combines free-to-play with mechanics consisting of deck building and class-based duels, which are pretty easy to learn, but hard to master. And even though the RNG gods might not always be favorable, this approach meant that Blizzard's game soon became a prominent esports title, featuring many regional and global tournaments for casuals and professionals alike. And speaking of global tournaments, the Hearthstone Championship Tour is probably the biggest of them all. The 2018 edition included 3 tournaments, each taking place in Los Angeles, California, after a series of regional playoffs. The latest HCT Winter Championship, which concluded at the beginning of March, saw 16 players compete for a $250,000 prize pool, with Roger claiming the first place spot after taking down Bunny Hopper from Samsung Morning Stars 3-0. However, 2019 will see some significant changes coming to professional Hearthstone gaming as a result of player-provided feedback. A new 3-step tournament system will be implemented to make the scene more accessible and to further motivate the community. Blizzard also increased the total prize money for 2019 to $4 million. But Hearthstone is not the only game that was established in a well-known universe. Let's have a look at Gwent, a card game that first appeared in Witcher 3 and has since been called one of the best of all time. Players in Gwent play as one of the 5 factions in the game and use cards picked randomly from their decks to create an army, which is then placed on the battlefield according to its fighting style. Each game consists of 3 rounds, and in order to win, you must acquire more points than your opponent in 2 of them. Despite being fairly young, players continued to flock to it, and the demand for esports was on the rise even during the beta stages of the game. That's why its creators CD Projekt Red are developing Gwent Masters, a seasonal tournament series in a pro ladder style, as well as many licensed events, which will culminate during Gwent World Masters, the highest tier of competitive events, during which the best players compete for the World Champion title and a share of the $250,000 prize pool. And let's not forget about card games developed strictly for the mobile devices. Right now, there are dozens of mobile card games to choose from, but probably the most popular of them all is Clash Royale. Published by the Finnish studio Supercell in 2016, Clash Royale is a great example of how simple ideas are sometimes the best. A game in which you construct a deck using available unit cards and then use them to take down your opponent's towers is as simple as it sounds. And with the title being free to play, almost everyone can join in and duel in a colorful, fast-paced match, which usually lasts around 3 minutes. With over 100 million downloads, it shouldn't be a surprise that Clash Royale also has a giant esports fan base, which is supported by the creators with events like Crown Championship with a $400,000 prize pool, or the Clash Royale League, featuring a hefty $1 million of prize money, while also being the biggest such initiative for mobile games to date. And if that wasn't enough, Supercell's creation was also a part of an esports demonstration event during Asian Games 2018, held in Indonesia. Too bad that not all modern card games had so much luck, despite being accessible and set in known universes. However, the card game genre is vast, and perhaps soon we will see another contestant enter the scene.
With Season 9 of the ESL CSGO Pro League right around the corner, we wanted to give you guys a quick little recap of what happened last season if you missed out on those games, and of course reveal the mystery of who won the tournament, even though it was most likely going to be Astralis.
The ESL Pro League is once again looming on the horizon as the 9th season is ready to kick off in style. However, before we look ahead at what lies in store for us, let's take a look back at Season 8 and what exactly happened. It all started off in October when 5 regions each saw their best teams compete in the online league format. 14 teams from Europe, 12 teams from North America, 8 teams from Oceania, 4 teams from Asia, and 2 teams from South America. Phew! That was a load of teams, battled for the 16 qualifying spots and their tickets to the Pro League finals in Odense, Denmark. It was a dramatic and long journey for many teams, and starting off by looking at the EU region, some surprises were abound. Fnatic and Ninjas in Pajamas, 2 Swedish powerhouses, were left in the relegation zone after a dreadful season that saw the 2 teams not only miss out on the finals, but also narrowly avoided the relegation playoffs. This in part thanks to the EU division expanding from 14 to 16 teams in Season 9, resulting in rock bottom AGO being the only Pro League team to be sent down to the ESEA Premier. But AGO's very own Sparrow still provided us with this fantastic highlight against Heroic.
Oh god, does he even check the left corner here, or does he wrap CT? Oh my god.
Joining Fnatic and NIP in the surprises we didn't quite expect category is FaZe Clan, who, despite good results in tournaments throughout the year, ended up a whole 9 points off of the qualifying spots for the Pro League Finals. This meant that Astralis, Na'Vi, Big, North, Hellraisers, Mousesports, and G2 Esports would go on to the finals. On the other side of the pond in the North American division, the underdog story that captured fans was Ghost Gaming's second-place finish in league play. Ousted iBuyPower veteran Joshua Steele Nissan led his team to a surprising finish in the regular season, with young guns Neptune and Wardell showing what they're capable of.
This would probably be the biggest clutch of his life, if you think about the opponents he's facing. And that's what makes this so unlikely. He's going to start to wrap these CTs, and timing could literally get the best of them. Neptune, he's going to go for the third one, and he nails it!
With only 6 positions granting qualification and 12 teams battling for them, some well-established teams were left out in the cold, as the likes of Cloud9 and Complexity Gaming failed to break into the top spots. However, this did make room for some underdogs, as Made in Brazil expectedly topped the division, followed by Ghost Gaming, Team Liquid, NRG, Renegades, and the Brazilians from INTZ Esports. Joining the EU and NA teams in Odense were Oceania's representatives Order, Asia's winners Vici Gaming, and the South American team, Sharks Esports. Heading into the LAN finals in Odense, everyone's eyes were on the home crowd favorites Astralis, the world's best team who was only 1 tournament away from taking home the Intel Grand Slam. Could any of the qualified teams take them down on their home turf? Astralis topped their group, qualifying directly to the semifinals as Team Liquid and Renegades joined them for the playoffs, while Group B saw no surprises in MIBR taking the top spot and automatic semifinal berth ahead of Mousesports and Na'Vi, who both made it into the next stage, although the latter barely scraped past Ghost Gaming in a very close best of 3.
It's good timing, but Electronic just helps finish that one off. It's over. Oh boy, what a journey it's been there, Pilly. Na'Vi finish us off 2-1.
In the end, though, it was all Astralis. The Danish superstars took down Mousesports in the semi-final to book their ticket to the grand final, where the world's second-best roster Team Liquid were ready to battle. The first map went the way of the North American Stars, but it was all downhill from there as Astralis took Mirage.
And here's Glaive getting it done. He sprays him down for an ace!
Inferno.
Such luck in hitting the shot, and now it's the Pistols to try and overrun him. But good timing on the counter smoke, and look at Zipnix go through the smoke. He finds his fourth, he gets an ace!
And Dust 2.
And Astralis are so close to this point. 1 kill's gonna secure it, and that's it! The Grand Slam is dead!
And bagged the $250,000 grand prize, as well as the insane $1 million Intel Grand Slam awarded for their 4th ESL and DreamHack tournament win in 10 tries. Now all that's left to say is, can Astralis actually do this again?
The Intel Extreme Masters at ESL 1 in Katowice have once again proven to be one of the biggest events in all of esports. During its 2 weekends, around 174,000 people visited both the Spodek Arena and the International Congress Center. And not only that, tournaments in Katowice also set a record for the most watched ESL events in history, with 232 million users, whom in total watched around 157 hours of transmission. Now I know it might be April Fool's today as we're recording this episode, but some people are out there going to argue that this has to be a joke. Valve has recently replaced the well-known map of Cache with Vertigo in its competitive map pool. That means in its competitive play, not just the map pool in general, and the map itself features some high-altitude combat and narrow close-quarter duels, but we'll have to wait a bit for its tournament debut as Vertigo will officially be featured during DreamHack Open Rio 2019, starting April 19th. Valve is looking for a way to improve its latest card game, Artifact. Let's be honest, it's not like they can make it any worse than it actually was. In an official statement posted on the game's website, the creators have clearly stated that Artifact represents the largest discrepancy between our expectations for how one of our games would be received and the actual outcome, which is why they will take steps in order to bring it back to life. However, more detailed plans are yet to be uncovered, and I don't think you could do CPR on a card. So now we got you guys up to date with some news going on around the world, and of course we got a recap of what went down in Season 8 of the ESL CSGO Pro League. We wanted to break down our top 5 plays from, bear with me, Odenza, from the Pro League finals that happened in Season 8.
Just Sunny with 30 seconds left. If he gets this one frag, it's not enough to win the round. He knows he has to wait a little bit longer. Wait for the perfect opportunity to get 2 kills in. This is exciting, man.
Actually huge. Didn't get spotted by Stewie either. He transitioned back behind the box. This is massive because now he lines them up. Stewie's low. Sunny can pull this all off with patience. He's got 11 seconds, however, so he's got to get toward the site. He knows Stewie's in there somewhere, and he's lurking. He's going to find him as well from Sunny. Brilliance pays off. 4 kills in the round.
Here we go. It was an absolute disaster for MLBR, but they are coming to life slowly but surely. Now Fly still making things problematic. Oh my goodness, it comes down to the 1v1. Surely not.
Comes down to a 1v1 and time. 13 seconds. Cole doesn't have many options here. He's got to get to the bomb and get it down almost immediately, or he's got to find Naf holding off that position. He's got there in time. Naf can concede the plant because he knows that he now gets the advantage. He has to be behind the box, but which side's he on? Left? Naf! 4 kills, no armor. AK picked up, and that's how Liquid steal it back.
P2K to finish off Zand. Now Kenny has finding his second as well. Horby last alive will find 2 with the Deagle, feeling it. Gets the 3rd as well. Now this man is setting himself up for the ace. Existence down to 20 HP, so it's potentially up to Body to try to pick this one up. But so much damage done already. 1 minute remaining. Horby just holding his nerve. Body gets the angle, but loses his head, and now this is completely winnable. But the double back is definitely a possibility, but here's the timing. And his Existence spotted him? No, but he's out in the open. He's spotted, and there you go.
Ace.
There's the ace.
We committed by the default because it can start falling apart. Luckily the smokes are decent, and the 4 players towards connection should be a massive issue, but what the site might be. What is going on here? The 5-7 delivering. And Device has to try and pull this one back. So close to finding the headshot there.
How does Angel do that? They line up, as if to say line up. He gets an ace as well with the AK. Line up for the 5-7, and he hits both headshots. This is certainly winnable for Liquid. More so now that it's just Ipix. He'll step out, finds Taco. Clutch Minister, they call him! He's got 3! Oh my goodness! Ipix can't quite hold it. He's just barely. He might. You're right, he might with the time. He doesn't have a kid. I think Ipix has pulled this off. I think he has! A 1 versus 4! And it's 4-4 on the score!
Now it's time to head over to some social media, as Kiyoshima has a nice little tweet for us. It's just talking about how he went 20% win rate in his games just the other day. He's gonna try to improve on it, and I guess he technically did, depending on how you were looking at it, which direction he wanted to go, as he dropped down to 0%, losing every match he played. Poor guy. So over in the League of Legends world, or hemisphere, or what you want to call it, Selfmade from SK Gaming talked about his Rek'Sai and how the Infinity Edge is a viable second item. However, LVP UK had a nice little tweet back to him showing maybe it's not as viable as he thinks. So everyone out there has heard of Blizzard, and everyone out there has heard of their franchise called Warcraft, where it started with Warcraft Orcs vs. Humans as an RTS and eventually transitioned into the World of Warcraft, which was an MMORPG. Now we want to take some time to actually take a look at how the game not only has evolved from RTS over to MMORPG, but also how it's changed in its form of esports. Hey, I thought we agreed this is not a PvP zone.
When it comes to esports, Blizzard Entertainment has always been a big part of the industry. We all know about StarCraft that basically shaped modern competitive gaming, Overwatch with its International League, Hearthstone, and even Heroes of the Storm. But there's yet another game in Blizzard's stable that's continuously expanding its esports scene, and that game is World of Warcraft. Warcraft as a series started back in 1994 with the release of Warcraft, Orcs and Humans, an RTS game that in the future would redefine the genre. Positive reception meant that soon it was turned into a series, but it wasn't much of an esports title back then. At least not until Warcraft 3 came around, which gradually began building its professional competitive scene, especially after Defense of the Ancients came out. A mod that quickly became one of the most popular ones ever, with its continuation now being one of the most popular esports titles on the planet. But could an MMORPG game also be turned into a competitive title? Could this colorful, sometimes chaotic environment where you fight monsters, train your character, and obtain better gear join the virtual sports club?
Gok, it appears your shoulders are rather large. Don't you think you should send a bug report?
Never.
To answer this question, we should look at one of the core features of WoW, which is player versus player combat, or PvP for short. In a world where Alliance and Horde constantly fight for dominance over each other, battling other players is something you cannot avoid. And it's not just duels or open world combat. In the beginning, most fights would be settled during a battleground, where teams consisting of tens of players fought for control over given objectives. However, assembling such big teams proved to be problematic without active PvP guilds, so Blizzard came up with a new idea regarding how players could test their skills against each other. Introduced during the Burning Crusade, arenas featured combat in an often tight location, with 2v2, 3v3, and 5v5 modes. And if you think that such duels were easy, well...
You think you do, but you don't.
Arenas feature fast-paced combat and involve synergies between different class combinations to maximize utilities and damage potential. Easy rules and popularity meant that throughout expansions, the arena system grew significantly, with features like new maps, seasons, and rankings being added to the process, which ultimately led to the first official tournament. After its first edition back in 2008, Arena Tournament became a yearly 3v3 event held during BlizzCon, year after year becoming more popular amongst the best PvP guilds and professional esports organizations. However, in 2014, for the 7th edition of the tournament, the old format was replaced by a set of worldwide bracketed events culminating in the World of Warcraft Arena World Championship, held also at BlizzCon. Last year's edition featured 12 teams and a prize pool of $280,000, and without much surprise was won by Method Orange, one of the teams representing the British organization, which continues to be the dominant force when it comes to World of Warcraft content.
Method Orange has done it! Ladies and gentlemen, shake these halls and make some noise! Let everyone at BlizzCon know we have a new world champion, Method Orange!
But even though arenas and PvP combat are a vital part of the game, it's not the only thing that has potential for competitive gaming. Another growing branch is PvE, or player versus environment. It might sound easier, but efficient dungeon clearing requires a lot of coordination and tactical knowledge.
Alright, chums up. Ready, guys? Let's do this. Leroy Dragons!
That's why Blizzard decided to implement a Mythic Plus system into their dungeons together with the Legion expansion, a system used to increase difficulty and provide more obstacles for players to check if they could still complete a given location within the set time limit. The best groups would be awarded items as well as keys to higher levels. Mythic Dungeon Invitational proved that the World of Warcraft has a lot of esports potential, even in areas not considered suitable for such development. Just like last year, when Shell's Angels beat Method NA 3-2 and claimed the mantle of Dungeon Champions during the Global Finals.
Shell's Angels have found redemption. They have righted the wrong, they have corrected the ship, and they are now your Mythic Dungeon Invitational 2018 champions.
Blizzard aims to expand this idea of completing content within a given amount of time and according to set rules, and has already started an in-game campaign to fund prizes for the next edition of the tournament, which will now be called the Mythic Dungeon International. And with another Arena Championship coming our way, it seems that this nearly 15-year-old game still has a few tricks to show us. But with all this competitive fighting going on, let's not forget this one important question.
What is worth fighting for?
So that's going to bring us to an end here on today's episode of the World of Esports. Now make sure you check out ESL 1 Mumbai coming up right around the corner if you're a Dota 2 fan. Otherwise, make sure to tweet to us with the hashtag World of Esports for us to look into any tournaments or have potentially any players or guests on the show you want to see interviewed in the future. And make sure to smash that subscribe button and of course like the video, because when you do, a puppy is born.